Welcome back to our class. Today we are discussing the structure of eye. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe, hit on the bell icon and you will be informed about the new notifications from our channel. This is a very important topic. The role of our eye is very important in our life, isn't it? If we analyze what we can see externally to the eye, there is an eyebrow. What is the role of an eyebrow? Eyebrow protects eye from water or oil drops or even our rainwater not coming directly into our eye, or it protects as a shield. Besides eyebrows, there will be eyelashes also seen. What is their function? This also protects our eye from entering some dust particles or other foreign substances into our eye and prevent from eye damage. That is, when we analyze the eye is protected inside some depressions in the skull. In the skull, there will be some depressions inside of which or eye socket. It is called eye socket. Inside of these depressions, our eye will be protected. Or we can say our eyes are placed in depressions in the skull called eye socket. External eye muscles are there. They fix the eyeballs in the orbit. Eyebrows and eyelashes do almost the same functions, that is, it prevents the direct entry of water or other dust particles inside our eye. While studying the structure of our eye, we can see a conjunctiva, or it is a portion in front of our eye. It secretes mucus which protects the anterior portion or the front portion of our eye from being dry. That is, conjunctiva secretes mucus which protects the anterior portion of the eyeball from being dry. Our eyes produce tears. What is the function of the tears? It clean and lubricate the anterior part of the eyeball. There is an enzyme present in the tears which is named lysozyme. What is its function? It destroys germs that enter the eyes. Lysozyme destroys the germs that enter the eyes. Here a diagram showing the structure of the eye can be seen. Which are the parts they are labeled? Conjunctiva, cornea, iris. Look onto the picture. Pupil, lens, sclera, choroid, retina, yellow spot, optic nerve, blind spot. We can study in detail their functions one by one. Our eyes can be seen as three layers, which are namely sclera, choroid and retina. What are they? The three layers of eye: sclera, choroid and retina. Sclera is the white outer layer which gives firmness to the eye. It is made up of connective tissues. Once more, the sclera is the white outer layer which gives firmness to the eye and it is made up of connective tissues. You can see the white portion of our eye, it is named sclera. The next layer of the eye is choroid. It is the middle layer. That is, it is a middle layer which contains a large number of blood vessels. If someone asks you a question, which is the layer of eye which contains large number of blood vessels, or the layer of our eye contains large number of blood vessels, which is the part? It is our choroid. Then comes the retina. It is the inner layer which has photoreceptors. You all know about receptors, isn't it? What are receptors? The receptors which receives the stimuli from external atmosphere or from our body also. Here in our eye, there are photoreceptors are present because our eye receives light as stimuli. We can study the parts of each layer. First one is sclera. It contains cornea and conjunctiva. Cornea and conjunctiva. Conjunctiva, we heard sometime before that it secretes mucus and it gives firmness to our eye, isn't it? We can look once more. That is cornea. It is a projected, transparent and anterior part of the sclera. Anterior means front part. The projected, transparent, anterior part of the sclera is cornea, which refracts light rays into focus onto the retina. What is its role? It refracts light rays to focus onto the retina. Next part is conjunctiva, the layer which covers and protects the front part of sclera except the cornea. So cornea does not covered by the conjunctiva, or the conjunctiva is the layer which covers and protects the front part of the sclera except the cornea. Now the story of sclera is covered. Next layer of our eye is choroid. It is the middle layer which contains a large number of blood vessels. It composed of iris, pupil. What is iris? Did you see your iris? Of course, the iris can be seen behind the cornea. It is a part of the choroid obviously, but it can be seen behind the cornea. It is in dark color. Who gives iris a dark color? That is, the presence of a pigment called melanin gives the iris a dark color. We can see a small aperture in the center of the iris, which we call it as pupil. It is the aperture seen at the center of the iris pupil. The size of this aperture increases and decreases depending on the intensity of the light. That is, the size of the pupil is changing based on the intensity of the light falls onto it. Then comes the third layer of our eye, that is retina. The inner layer which has photoreceptors. Part of our eye having photoreceptors, retina. Retina contains yellow spot and blind spot. Yellow spot means it is the point of maximum visual clarity. We can see the object at its maximum visual clarity. Or the part of the retina where plenty of photoreceptors are present. Why we can see an object with the maximum visual clarity? Because it is a part of the retina where plenty of photoreceptors are present. In the retina, there is a point called blind spot. That is the part of the retina from where the optic nerve begins. Here there is no vision as photoreceptors are absent. You can't see any object because there is no photoreceptors are present to carry out the function of vision. We heard a nerve, optic nerve, while studying blind spot. What is optic nerve? It transmits impulses from photoreceptors to the visual center in the brain. What is its function? Look onto the picture from where the optic nerve begins. From blind spot, optic nerve begins, and it transmits impulses from photoreceptors to the visual center in the brain. Next part is lens. Elastic, transparent, convex lens connected to ciliary muscles by thread-like ligaments. How they connected? The lens is connected to ciliary muscles by thread-like ligaments. You can see it in our picture. It is labeled clearly. Which type of lens in our eye? It is of convex lens. Then, what is ciliary muscles? The circular muscles seen around the lens is ciliary muscles. The contraction and relaxation of these muscles alter the curvature of lens. We can see the lens in a shape of round or curved manner, isn't it? This curvature of lens are provided them by ciliary muscles. What we studied it? The layers of eye, sclera, choroid, retina and their parts, lens, optic nerve and ciliary muscles. A part of the parts we studied in the structure of our eye, there will be some fluids are present in the eye. That is two types of fluids, aqueous humor and vitreous humor. Once more, aqueous humor and vitreous humor. What are they? There will be a space in between lens and cornea called aqueous chamber. Once more, aqueous chamber is a chamber or the space in between the lens and cornea. There will be filled with a water-like fluid called aqueous humor. It is formed from blood and also reabsorbed into the blood. It is formed from blood and also reabsorbed into the blood. What is its function? It provides oxygen and nourishment to the tissue of the eye. It provides oxygen and nourishment to the tissue of the eye. The other fluid is vitreous humor. What is vitreous humor? The jelly-like substances seen in the vitreous chamber between the retina and lens. That is, in between retina and lens, there is a chamber called vitreous chamber, and it is filled by a jelly-like substance called vitreous humor. Don't get confused about aqueous humor and vitreous humor. Aqueous humor can be seen in the aqueous chamber. Where is it? It can be seen between lens and cornea. And the aqueous chamber provides oxygen and nourishment to the tissue of the eye. Vitreous humor is a jelly-like substance present in the vitreous chamber. Where is vitreous chamber? It can be seen in between retina and lens. Vitreous humor helps in maintaining the shape of the eye. Now we can study how the regulation of light in our eye takes place. That is, the entry of a large amount of light is very harmful to our tissues of the eye. Can you imagine a high beam of light is falling onto your eye? You will get distracted, isn't it? The regulation of light in our eye must be a very essential thing. Our iris and the aperture at its center. What its name? Pupil. So iris and pupil regulate the amount of light falling on the eyes. If you are analyzing the given picture in this slide, we can see change in pupil in dim light and also change in pupil in bright light. Can you see the pupil? It is the inner dark portion or the aperture in the iris. In the first picture, in dim light, the size of the pupil get enlarged. In the second picture, it is a case of bright light falling on our eye. Here the size of the pupil diminishes or small in size. What makes pupils to act like this? We can study. There will be two muscles named radial muscles and circular muscles. They are taking part in this play. That is, the size of the pupil is regulated by the action of circular muscles and radial muscles. Listen carefully. The size of the pupil is regulated by the action of circular muscles and radial muscles. Those muscles can be seen as diagram in this slide. Radial muscles contract and circular muscles contract. The picture is given. First picture we can see the radial muscles contraction. When it happens, it is in dim light. Now the size of the pupil increases. So we can see the dim light, the radial muscles contract and the size of the pupil increases. Now what happens during intense light? During intense light, the circular muscles contract and the size of the pupil decreases. That is, in dim light, radial muscles contract and in intense light, circular muscles contract. In dim light, size of the pupil increases. In intense light, the size of the pupil decreases. The pupil decreases not only because there is no need to engage maximum light onto our eye. The size must be decreased. Thus, we can say the amount of light falling on the lens is regulated according to the intensity of light. What we have discussed? The regulation of the light in the eye, and it is carried out by radial muscles and circular muscles. What happens in dim light? In dim light, which muscle contract? Radial muscle contract. And in intense light, which muscle contract? Circular muscle contract. And what happens to the pupil in dim light? The size of the pupil increases. In intense light, the size decreases. That's all for now. Hope you all could understand the class very well. If you have any doubt regarding this section, you can feel free to ask in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Please study well.